Church was magical, and Nina had somehow, you know, put together a program in a matter of what, 2 days or something, but it flowed.
It was a lovely event, and now we've passed muster. We're allowed to have a bigger event and actually promote it this time, and the money that we actually raised is going to preserving the Mermaid and St Christopher mural on the wall.
Oh, I'll go along with that. Welcome to the Hutch. This is episode 3, and quite a lot's happened since we last saw you. I mean, there've been a couple of releases on Bandcamp.
Apparently
solo, and the one that's just come out happened to be released on the same day that we went to Wales. So began another adventure, which was so surreal, but actually really good fun. Talking to Nina's mum and the brothers, it became evident that she'd spent quite a lot of time in Cardigan when she was little, and that is courtesy of her Uncle Tony.
And my grandma.
And Grandma. Mm-hmm. Cardigan, you know, which coincidentally was where I went 5 years ago to record a song for my Helen with a band called Sendelica. With all this talk of Cardigan, it occurred to me that I've been asked if I wanted to go to the 19th dream of Dr. Sardonicus.
Well done for remembering that.
Festival of Psychedelia, which was taking place at the Cellar Bar in Cardigan. As soon as I asked if we could get in at the door, we were offered a DJ spot. So now we were...
Using the term loosely.
Yeah. And it was a blast though, wasn't it?
It was very good fun.
Disappear under the waves.
And the highlight perhaps for me was Saturday morning, where we had a record session.
A dance set session.
Nina's got a dance set, I've got one that don't work at the moment. So we had a record session and worked out our set, as they say. So, like I said, that was on the same day as Borderland was released on Bandcamp, so we made it back, and you know, Borderland seems to have gone down rather well.
But this is dedicated to the people who just wanted to be in the band. This is called the original lineup. This is my band. Also my band. The original lineup. Ever since the lower sixth concert. Wayne McKibben on Fender guitar. Ringo Mooney on drums. Eamon McKibben on vocals. Gary Doyle on bass, and me, who sometimes helped them set up, especially if a crowd had already started to gather. Rock and roll. There was a certain way to carry a guitar. Not like that. There was a certain way to carry a guitar to suggest you knew how to handle and play it. I became very practiced at that. This was my brief performance. I wanted to get it right. A casual I carry guitars every day walk. A cool, I am in fact part of the band, secretly write all their songs. I would play if I wasn't so blasé walk. Don't bother me or speak to me. I am carrying this guitar. Can't you see? I am carrying this guitar. I also spoke. Let me tell you about the original lineup. Ever since the lower sixth concert. Wayne McKibben, Ringo Mooney, Eamon McKibben, Gary Doyle, and me.
It was really special having them there. Well, it was special having everybody there, but I think the poets, especially Malcolm's introduction to the congregation,
that's perfect.
Was just so perfect, given where we actually were.
Well, that could have been, you know, with Thomas Hardy in the audience.
I know, or maybe he was.
Congregations.
And William Barnes, was it?
William Barnes, yeah, the guy who wrote the Dorset dialect.
Which Malcolm did in his Scottish accent, which was fantastic.
Yeah, that was incredible. I
mean, well, we think it was, but I'm not familiar with the Dorset dialect, so it may have been rubbish. But
in 2007, and this is probably where the book arose from, I'd started writing for Mojo, I did an interview with suicide for this guy, Kris. He was making a documentary about suicide, and that's when I met Chris Hall. Kris wanted to make a film about them. I knew a lot about them already, and I sat there and interviewed them.
And all of a sudden this figure, which I thought was a girl because it had these bangs, that Brian Jones got from the Stones, was walking out, no shirt, pants cut off over here, like dungarees cut off here, and these stupid looking, ridiculous loafers, you know, like penny loafers or whatever they were. And he comes out like this. Fuck you. Fuck you. Of course he was built like magnificent, you know, Iggy, especially in those days he was wider. He's more wiry now, but in those days he was definitely wider. Pre-drug years maybe, you know, pre-speed years. And he's just, fuck you. And then they launch into, it's 1969, okay, or I forgot which song. And Iggy's doing his thing, they're all doing their thing. And the next thing I know is Iggy's diving into this concrete floor where people are sitting down on the floor. Coming back on stage, the drumsticks have already been broken and flying all over the place. So Iggy takes a broken drumstick and starts cutting the shit out of himself. And then Ronnie starts fucking the bass player up the ass with his guitar. And Iggy's just doing what he's doing. And 20 minutes goes by and the show ends, 20 minutes. And then after all these shows, you know, those days between sets, because MC5's coming on next, usually they would play rock and roll songs in between. Not this day. There's one guy you don't remember, because he used to work the Project Living Artist, like an electronics whiz. He had this gig of being the guy that's putting on these songs. Iggy walks off, some silence, you expect this shit to come on, and all of a sudden, a Bach Brandenburg concerto comes on, man. Because what I saw that night, and I was with some friends too, we were all like, our mouths dropped. It went beyond anything you've ever seen or heard before. It became like the new art form. It was art, man. It went beyond music because it involved the audience thing. The separation between, now that separation between performer and the audience ended. And I was like in awe. I couldn't believe what just happened in 20 minutes, man. I was like, and I knew I was the presence of something great, and the sound, like I said, turns on Bach. Because I think the sound I knew, something happened, man. There was something great happened. MC5 came on afterwards, and they were like, they tried to outdo themselves, because after Iggy, I hate to say this, man, after seeing Iggy, and I had seen MC5 before, they tried hard, man, but it was too late, you know, man. It was just too late. And that got me going. See, that's when my life changed, too. Right, exactly. Before that, I was more of the visual artist. I already had started showing. I was lucky enough to have Ivan as a dealer. I was pretty much up in the world already. I was pretty young, too. But after that, I went, man, what I just saw, if I'm going to be a real artist and be honest about it, it's like my road, suddenly my road I was going on forked. And if I kept going the way I was going, I knew it was like, I'm not going to be a real artist. I had to go where Iggy was, and I never, ever in my life thought I'd ever go on a stage. It was the scariest place of my life. At the bottom of my list of 100 things of what I was going to be in life, the bottom was on stage, at all costs, because I was totally shy, man. But I knew something was, I mean, I had to go that way. I just knew it, to be a truthful artist, man, or whatever, artist, who knows what that means. And that's what happened that night, man. And I went back the next night to see him again. So they were on for 2 nights. And so I had no idea how I was going to make this happen, you know. Now I have to be a performer. What am I, crazy? I can't fucking perform, much less sing. What am I, crazy?
So
and I had no musicians. What the fuck, you know? Like, totally out of my mind. I mean, it must have been out of my mind.
So when you met Marty though, and he was doing something new.
Yeah, well, he was doing it on his side of the things, and he was looking for a way out from his jazz thing.
Right.
You know, because he knew after seeing where jazz was going, it was the end of a line as well. Yeah, no, we didn't know where to start. We just said, okay, whoever happens to make the first sound. So I dropped the guitar, and that was the sound, whatever came out of it. Then Marty would come follow that. Then Paul would come in, and we just go until one night. I remember, I think Cherie was the first song, I think, that became a song.
Might have been a Ghost. Might have been Ghost.
No, I think it was Cherie.
No, it was before those. We had those other ones like Amen.
Oh wait, we had Method Dream Mary. Yeah.
Junkie Jesus.
Eventually, the things formed into, you know, like a galaxy, a big bang. Yeah. And then there's all this gas, and the gases start to coalesce in the galaxies. And then galaxies in the stars, you know, and that's kind of what happened with Suicide. It was a big bang, you know. It was like, and then we didn't look to start it. We didn't look to write songs. We just kept playing. We improvised, you know, just like.
No, it was just that free, it was the electronics again to come back. Right. It was so new and so you could just do a whole free thing on electronics, and you weren't doing free jazz, you weren't doing anything, you weren't doing rock, quite anything that really had happened yet. Yeah. And it was just such a wall of sound that we didn't have songs. It was just like one long, you know.
The weirdest thing was, they put up with all this abuse at the Music Machine, and because Alan had stood his ground, he'd come off covered in shit, gone to the cleaners, gone back, gone for more, given more than he, you know, far more than he got. And by the end, the last gig, they got an encore.
The shit started flying, tear gas. The cops actually came. They rioted worse than the riot. See, I just took the microphone. I was trying to get it back because it was Elvis's shit. Right. And Elvis never got on that night, you know. They didn't want to pulling things back and forth, and the shit starts flying. They're already agitated by the band already. And finally, it ends on because the cops come in with their things and their helmets and the tear gas. And eventually, I walk up to the side of the stage, and Marty, the two guys, are standing right nearby me. I was kind of almost like laughing at this whole thing, you know. And then they decided to. I remember saying to each of them, said to each other, "We better get the hell out of here because this is really." And I watched both of them. Neither one of them, the great giant sprinters of the world, fly down a long corridor to get to the back out of the door, man. I mean, both of them were flying. I'm standing there laughing my ass off, watching the two of them, and the shit is flying, and the equipment's getting destroyed and all kinds of shit. Well, anyway, so like I said, Elvis and I got on. So the next night I think was in
Paris.
Was it Paris?
Yeah.
So we did a show there, but then we went to Holland. And we stayed in Amsterdam. We did all our shows around because you'd be anywhere within an hour tops. And one night we did that place, that real nice big building, leather seats and
The Hague.
The Hague.
Yeah. New theaters.
New theater.
Elvis played as a
But the thing was, they were so tired out, these guys. That night when they couldn't play, it was a blessing in disguise. They just did a 9-month tour of the world, and they were going nuts, man. They were all speed on speed and going. So finally we get to The Hague, and before the show, the day before, we had some kind of altercation in some other town somewhere. I meet Elvis, he's going to do, he's doing his laundry, he's walking out there, Elvis Costello walking with a bag of laundry, man. And I run into the street, he goes, "Hey Al, excuse me, do you think you could give us another riot tonight?" So that was The Hague, and sure enough, I caused the thing. And they ripped up, they knifed the seats, it was all beautiful, beautiful dressing rooms, it was like a new symphony hall, just done. I think about headlines in newspapers, suicide causes $100,000 worth of damage, all kinds of shit, man. And Elvis was very happy. They never got on that night either, man. But he actually, there was another riot out. He said, "Sure, Elvis, taken care of, man."
But the only time we never had two consecutive records out on the same label either, and we never had a major label. We never really had a booking agent for any time.
Every time I get on a major label, the label collapses, man.
Yeah, it's always been
the kiss of fucking death, I'm telling you, man. Everywhere I go.
It's like we're the act that comes on as the curtain is closing, you know?
No, it's not quite like that. We finally get on to decide to close the curtain because they're going the wrong way, man.
So they sell and they don't sell. We never, you know, I mean...
Well, didn't you
but at least, see, look, it's funny, yeah, we've always deemed the band the least successful band, but where are all the other bands now? We're still here.
Marty will take 10 years to make an album. You know, he's one of the most unique but loveliest people I've met. And I can't wait, you know, for next year to do his book. But, you know, we developed a bond based really on me being their supporter, you know, because I wouldn't tolerate, and I won't now, you know, a lot of the treatment hammered out to suicide from the business and meathead public basically amounted to bullying, you know, and I've always hated bullies.
Me too.
And, you know, they ain't gone away.
No, they haven't.
But you get immune to them, you know, and they're really fun to play with after a while. My whole point is that I seem to be gravitated to the bands that were getting a hard time. I mean, the music press was vicious. The music business was, it could be savage and merciless, you know, and it just used bands It could
It
suck
still
them up,
can be.
spit them out. Well, I'm going to, yeah, I mean, you know, there were these incredible wankers then, and there still are now, you know, but you gravitate to the good guys.
Mm-hmm.
I always have done.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I've always made a point of it, and I'd rather not associate with negative, dreary people. There's two things I should plug, yeah, but the TV show, I've done a BBC Two documentary called When Blondie Came to the UK, and I went on every Blondie tour between 77 and 81, and I mean, I was very close. This is another story for another time. You remind me of Debbie in certain ways, you know, that you won't take shit from males because you're, you know, I mean, she was a girl. She might have been the most beautiful pin-up in the world.
Incredibly sexy woman.
Yeah, but, you know, she still got shit from guys who thought they could run her down, but they didn't.
It happens.
I know it does, you know, and like I say, I see a lot of Debbie in you, in the spirit department.
It was actually my Earth mama, Armorel Weston. She happened to have an allotment in the same place that I did. I think she growled at me the first time she met me. Yeah. She had these big grass cutters, and I was admiring her plot because she had this lovely apple tree bower and it was like a fairyland. And she sort of popped up from behind a rose bush with these grass cutters and growled at me. I'm like, whoa! She's slightly scary. But we became really, really lovely friends. And she phoned me one day and said, oh, Nina, you really need to come down to Antenna Studios, to the cafe there, which at the time was called Cafe Thing. That was the first time I'd met Frank. And he was doing an improv where he had this viola stuck through a ridiculous amount of guitar pedals. So I asked Frank if he would come down to the studio, which at the time was Facility 2 in Westcote Studios, where for a while I shared that with Alex Patterson. We did the Rootmaster stuff there, and Confinanza. I recorded his viola, and we just carried on working more and more. And he said, look, come down to my nights that I do in Crystal Palace. And that's where I first came across Barry Woolnough, the extraordinary voice.
Millions of years, rivers of tears, men have searched for the pure white light. Know that everything is gonna be alright. Yeah, oh, yeah, oh. Great Spirit Father, Father in the sky. Tears that I cried, tears of love, cried them for my friends looking down from above. Never question why, who lives or dies. Great Spirit Father, Father in the sky. Yeah, oh, yeah, oh. Great Spirit Father, Father in the sky. Father in the sky. Father in the sky.
So that's kind of how Moine Dubh came about.
Welcome to Cooking with Sweet. So this is your spot on the Cosmic Hutch, Sweet. We're going to do some cooking. You fancy doing that? Right. Basically, this is the book that we're using. It's Extreme Lunching. There's a little story behind this, Sweet, which I'm going to tell you. Yes, your mummy, she knows this the guy who put this book together, Ollie Maxwell, right? And she first met him down the shum, actually. Did you know that? Yeah, did you go down the shum? Sweet. Oh, oh, you had a good time then. So we love Ollie and we love his book, and so the first item with cooking with sweet is going to be coriander and walnut pesto. Well, you know, it's admittedly not sausages. If you help me make this, then the next time we do cooking with sweet, we can do sausages. Is that all right? Oh, all right, wait. Calm down. No. Right then, sweet. I'm going to do the first thing here. We've got a blender here, which you're not to turn it on yet, though. I'll give you a shout. I'm going to put this stuff in the blender, starting with this. Yeah. So you've got this. It's almost like you've got a sweet fan club on the go at the moment. And you know, I used to do David Bowie's and then Mott the Hooples. I could do the Sweet Fan Club. How about that? Would you like that? And they could have membership cards, and so I'm promising you a lot of stuff if you help me here, sweet. No! Well, now your hat's come off. Now, put that back on and behave. You're going to blow it, sweet. I'm not going to do sausages next week. We'll be a good doggy then. Now let's see what happens here. I believe, whoops, it's a little pinch of this. A little tiny one. Like that. Yeah? Good. Now, sweet, I'm going to put the nuts in. Do you want a nut, sweet? Oh, I've got to put in a squirt of lemon juice. I'm going to squirt that in your... Yeah. There we are, is that it? Yes, is that okay, sweet? Yeah. Look at this, sweet. Hey, well done, sweet. I mean, you really could be on Saturday Kitchen. Right, sweet, I'm going to decant it into the bowl. Yeah. And let me do that, sweet, and then I'll give you this. Oh, wait. Now what's going on? Oh, sweet, look what you made me do. Sweet, stop it. Well, Sweet, you were a great help with doing this, so, you know, we'll do some kind of sausage. I don't think I've got any sausages lying around at the moment. They're in the freezer. Oh no. Hang on. Wait. Your hat's gone in. Right, well, I think your adoring public will love that, Sweet. Right, so say goodbye, bye, everybody.
into the